Welcome back to another episode of the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner and Mud Gear Battle Alliance pro, Evan Preparis. I got two Strength and Speed athletes with me on the line. And then on top of that, they are race owners. So quite a mix of obstacle course racing professionals on the show today. Before we get to them, though, a quick word from this episode's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Volition Chiropractic. If you're not familiar with Volition, chiropractor in Kansas City, run by Alexis Buford. She's an obstacle course racer herself, so she knows what you need. So I was pretty cool. I've gone to her a couple times to help with some adjustments and some tightness in my upper back and my neck. And she did a great job, again, because she's like, I don't have to go in there and explain what obstacle course racing is because she's an athlete herself and she knows. Also a ninja competitor. Great person. If you're going to be in Kansas City area, swing by and hit up Volition. You can make the appointments online. Super easy to do. And you can just squeeze right into her schedule and she'll see you. Good stuff. She got some, massage guns in there to help her out and some Normatec compression boots and stuff like that, in addition to being kind of an expert, and she's certified in KT tape or rock tape. So check out Volition Chiropractic and support our OCR athletes that are also business owners. Speaking of which, I have two on the line. We got our beer drinking ultra runner, Gary Shaw, and the CEO of Leaky Hourglass Ultra. I almost messed it up there. Leaky Hourglass Ultra. Gary, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Also a strength and speed athlete, Gary is. And then on top of that, we have William Schell, former pro track and field athlete, and was third at U.S. Nationals and was the 800, Will? Is that what you said?
300 meters.
So short distance guy, super fast, was sponsored by Brooks at one point, transitioned into OCR, has been plugging away at it for a couple of years, and in 2022, I'm getting my years confused, just started Mythic race. And say the name of the city because I always mess it up.
It's Benton, Missouri.
Benton. I always want to say Benson. Benton, Missouri. So it's out east or south of, St. Louis? Is that right?
Yeah, about 2 hours south.
Right on. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Mythic race. We're going to be talking a little bit about Leaky Hourglass Ultra. We're also going to be talking about some of their backgrounds. I'm going to start off with some of Gary's accomplishments. So Gary, we've had you on the podcast before, but we didn't talk about a very questionable endeavor you did. We talked about it on a Facebook Live video, but I know not all of our listeners watched that Facebook Live video after you did it. So would you mind explaining to people the 24, 24, 24 or 24 cubed, exactly what that is? And not that I'm encouraging people to do it, but because I know you already, I will let you explain it on the podcast.
Yes, definitely don't do that. So the 24 cube, it's also known as the 24 by 24 by 24. All that is a participant runs 24 miles and drinks 24 beers, and they have 24 hours to do it in. Whenever I first did it, and you had me on the podcast, as far as we could find documentation, it was a very short-lived world record. I beat the record of 13 and a half hours, and I think I did it in like I can't even remember now. It was just under 9:30. And then about a week and a half later, a gentleman from Arizona beat it by an hour. And then one of my really good friends / arch nemesis from Oklahoma, Bobby Lyons, beat it by another hour. So the record's now sitting around 7.5 hours for 24 miles and 24 beers. And I have no intentions of trying to reclaim that throne. I was just happy to hold it.
That is literally insane. I was legitimately very concerned you were going to go to the hospital. And then when other people started going after it, I was like, someone's going to die doing this. So again, because I know you already, and because you already had you on the podcast, I brought you on. But I do not encourage people to do this at home. And the live videos of you that Nicole was taking were hysterical, by the way.
I've watched I've been able to bring myself to watch some of them. I still haven't seen all of them.
So obviously, so what was your technique? Just out of curiosity, because so you're doing the beers and the running. Are you front loading the running, you front loading the beers, or kind of just splitting them up
I
evenly?
was trying to kind of match to start off with, and then obviously, as alcohol tends to do to people, my plans kind of went out the window. But originally I was trying to do like 2 miles and then do a beer. Like I was going to kind of front load the mileage a little bit and kind of stand back on the beer. But the further I got into it, and a lot of people came out to support me and run with me and have a beer with me to see, or just to say that, they were there and saw that idiot. So, as more people showed up, I kind of chilled out a little bit more and started drinking more and running less. And it eventually caught up to me. But the original plan was to kind of almost go 2 for 1.
Yeah. My favorite, so on one of the last videos, I guess you took a spill, and then Nicole was like, yeah, we're not going to let him run on the road anymore. We're lucky he finished the mileage, because I'm legitimately concerned about him falling into the road and getting run over by a car at this point.
Yeah, I took a nice little digger. Actually, I think within the last 1.25 miles, it was literally like a block from the house. And I think I had to do one more lap after that.
Oh my goodness. So terrible. So again, if someone else has a better record, don't tell me, because we're not bringing you on the podcast. I don't want to encourage this behavior. But again, since I know Gary and we had other stuff to talk about, figured I would share some of that insane event he did. On top of that, I know you're busy running. I feel like you're running 100-miler like every couple of weekends. What's your goals here related to the ultra running world?
So I'm trying to do a 100-miler in all 50 states. And I'm trying to do it by the time I'm 45. So I just turned 38. So I've got 7 years to knock out another 34 states. I'm currently sitting at 16, but not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, hoping to knock out Washington State at the Yeti 100 endurance run.
All right. Sounds good. So at the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Will, who's used to be a professional 300-meter runner. So tell us a little bit about kind of that world, Will. Because I don't know much about the track world, because I think most people do track in high school and maybe if they're good in college, and then that's kind of where most people kind of peter out. So tell us a little bit about that world.
Well, the sprint world's a lot shorter, a lot less painful than 100-mile stuff that Gary's doing. But it's kind of a small world. If you want to go beyond college, you got to be like Olympic medal contention to make a living off it. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, wasn't there, so I had to grow up and get a real job.
Yeah. So how long did you try the professional route, or whatever we're calling it, right, where you're you got a sponsor and you're kind of out there competing?
Just 2 years while I was in PT school. Kind of stuck with the Southwest Baptist track team where I was at, kind of trained with them and tried to make it, but ran out of time.
Yeah. No, that's good. So you used another, like a college track program to kind of train with. That's correct?
Yeah, that's where my undergrad was at, so I stuck with my coach.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because, I mean, I feel like running those paces is very hard unless you have other people kind of pushing you and pacing off of.
Yes.
Cool. So how did you end up getting connected with Brooks? Is that something you reached out, or they reached out to you?
I reached out to them. They were the only ones who responded to me.
Nice. Yeah, I've said that on the podcast a dozen times. Like, sponsorship is largely a numbers game. Like, you got to ask. Otherwise, companies don't necessarily know that you want to work with them. So, yeah, got it right on. And then tell me about the transition. Like, at one point, we were like, all right, I've had enough road running or track running, and I want to give a shot at OCR.
So after outdoor club nationals, my second year at PT school, I had a couple of classmates who wanted to do the Rugged Maniac up in Kansas City. And for a while, I was kind of looking at OCR as my next sporting outlet. I knew about Spartan. That was about it. We volunteered up there, and then we ran and got hooked from there.
Yeah, and I've mentioned your name on the podcast, I don't know, half a dozen times at least before, not related to Mythic Race, but just on the, the progress you've made, because we went to OCR World Championships together back in, what was it, 2018, 17? Something like
Second Canada year, 18, I think.
Yeah, 18. And tell me about like your first experience versus compared to like your latest experience at OCR World Championships.
First time was awful. Wasn't ready for the mountain or the obstacles. I think I actually failed out time-wise when they're doing time penalties on the 15K. I failed like every real obstacle.
Yeah. And then how did the last one go?
This 2021 was all three bands.
So, yeah, it's a huge improvement. You're like, out of all the guys on the team, you're one of my favorite people to follow, just because like every time you come back, it's just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So what advice do you have for people who maybe lost their bands at previous world championships, or went to Battle of the Lions or Indian Mud Run and lost a band? What advice do you have for those people?
Just slow consistency over time, and if you can be specific, do that. Like you always kind of preach about, like getting the ninja holds for your pulley system at the gym. That specific grip shape is really important.
Yeah. Good stuff. And if Will's name also sounds familiar, for OCR America Day 7, we were at his property, and he went out of his way and set up an obstacle course essentially just for us, which was huge, and it really helped because we physically were going to run out of time if we had to continue making the drive. So huge shout out for Will. And he's also been a huge supporter of all the charity fundraisers. So your name's always up there. And I know you don't do it for the recognition, but you're always one of the biggest donors, hands down, for all my fundraisers. So a personal thank you, and a thank you from Folds of Honor for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Gary, let's talk about Mythic Race first. So Will set up Mythic Race. Gary, you were one of the athletes that went out, and I'd like to get some of the athletes' perspective before we jump into a little bit about Will's side as a business owner. But tell us a little bit about Mythic Race and how your experience went doing the endurance portion of their event.
It was a blast. The obstacles were just that happy medium for me. Like, I mean, you can kind of look at my build. Like, I'm an ultra runner. It's kind of like you can look at me and kind of tell. I don't take the obstacle racing as seriously as I used to. It's more of kind of a fun thing. And Will's obstacles were just the perfect difficulty to where they were difficult, but I could do them in that first lap, like the sprint lap, because of how he formatted it with just the 5K and then the endurance wave. Still wanted to have that good fast first lap and get all the obstacles, keep my band. But then as the day wore on, the obstacles, they got harder. Stairway, his version of stairway became a problem later in the day, which I really liked because of how he actually switched the grips up between like the flat just tread board and then kind of like a monkey bar hold. So you just had the bar and then you had the flat board, bar, flat, and how that was set up was really interesting. And thankfully, so he had a version of Gibbons there, but it wasn't a really long version. So I was able to kind of BS my way through that legally. And like I loved the obstacles. It was a good, fun race. I thought it was, I thought it was very beginner friendly if like somebody new coming out to that, but it was also like me, John Taylor, who I train with, he actually took first in the endurance wave, the owner of Republic Warrior Sports. And then Jason Rulo was out there. He took second, and it was just kind of a fun back and forth the entire race.
Nice. So, yeah, we mentioned some of the obstacles. So, Will, take me through your decision let's start off with take me through your decision to, like, I'm a racer. I'm now going to start my own brand.
So I was kind of something I've been wanting to do almost since the beginning. So I knew kind of Spartan and Rugged Maniac at first, and then I went to Conquer the Gauntlet down in Little Rock, and it was the first time I saw like homemade obstacles, and it was just as good as races, anything those big, name brands put on. So that kind of gave me the idea, and mostly kind of waiting with student loans. They got frozen, so I was actually able to save some money for it. And then I planned it all out in 2020, built it in 21, and had this spring. And there's no races around me, so I kind of want to have something for my local community to kind of experience the fun of OCR.
Awesome. Yeah, I was so upset that I couldn't make it this year. It fell on the same weekend as Infinite Hero Honor Challenge, which I'm the single point of success/failure for that event. So I had to go to that, hoping that it does not line up that way in 2023. So what's the date for 2023's Mythic race?
So Friday the 21st, we have a team relay event in the evening, and then the main event's on April 22nd, the 5K and 5 hour.
2-day event. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm praying I don't have a conflict this year, but yeah, super excited. Team event, is that going to be similar to OCRWC format where it's like a relay, or is similar to Conquer the Gauntlet format, which is like all 4 people and it's like kind of a little more fun based?
3-person relay on the 5K course.
Yeah. So OCRWC like. Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And tell me about some of the obstacles you had. Like how did you end up coming up with them? And kind of what was your methodology behind creating the course?
Just overall methodology was kind of find the right balance between, technical and your carries, and then the simple stuff like the walls, crawls, and that kind of thing. Some of our more unique obstacles are Z-walls, definitely kind of different. Instead of handholds, we used eye bolts, and you had to use the sketch hooks to get across.
Cool.
And the middle was kind of so we had a wall of eye bolts, an actual sketch section, which will be longer next year because it was too short, and then another wall. We did an obstacle. Aaron said it was similar to Tip of the Spear from Battle Frog, kind of those slanted boards you put your feet on. It's different handholds across that.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Our rig's going to be completely different this year. It's going to be a lot harder, but it's just kind of your basic rig with probably about every kind of hold you can imagine, but we're going to change it up a little bit. We had dragons back, which will be different. The gaff is supposed to be there, but it didn't fit on the U-Haul.
Gotcha.
We had a long archery target instead of a spear, something a little different there.
Yeah.
And our double stairway.
So I love that you brought in, you took inspiration for some other races and you kind of gave them your own twist. And then in addition to having some like the classic center, that's really awesome. I also love that, people, especially in the Midwest, because we don't have the population density is not there. People always be like, oh, bring a race to this location, bring a race to this location. And you're like, I want a race near my house. I'm putting one on. Bam.
Yeah.
So I love the, taking initiative there. Any advice you have, let's say there's another person that wants to put on their own local event. Any advice you have for them?
It's probably about 10 times more work than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the administration and the build side. That build week about killed me. There's a lot more work than I was expecting it to be, and just having to plan out the obstacles, getting your materials. It's actually a lot more work. Even designing just a simple 8-foot wall is a lot more details than you think. I probably redesigned it about 4 or 5 times just to get the cost down and plan your course out. People like to complain that it's a whole 1 mile with no obstacles, and it's because you can't get them back there.
Right.
A lot of work. So there's a lot that goes into it more than just dreaming up obstacles and building them.
Yeah. You got to experience it firsthand. I give you a lot of credit. Let's jump over to Gary. Tell us a little bit about your uniquely formatted event.
So Leaky Hourglass Ultra is pretty much a traditional last man standing style race, kind of like the big one, the holy grail of backyard ultras would be Big's Backyard Ultra that Laz puts on. So similar in format and the fact that it's a lap format, a 4.167 mile lap. And in a traditional format, you have an hour to do that lap. Every hour you line back up and start a new one, and you go until only one person can finish a lap. I've always liked this concept. I've ran a few of these races before. Normally I'll call it at 100 miles. Just seems like a nice round number. But I always kind of wanted to host one, but I wanted to do something different. And I also didn't want to risk being out there for 3 days because some of these endurance runners are just on a completely different level. I've got like family and work obligations. I can't be out there for 3 days. So what I did was every lap, they lose a minute from the cutoff. So they start off with that standard 60-minute cutoff, just like a normal one. But the second lap, they only get 59 minutes to run it, pit, so that includes like if they've got to use the bathroom, they need to refuel, they need to change clothes, whatever it is they've got to do has to be done. And they've got to be back on that line and ready to start again. So, and then that third lap, they've only got 58 minutes and it just keeps diminishing. So last year was the first year of the race. We had, let's see, I think we had 26 people sign up last year, seven DNSs, so only 19 people actually started. But so the winner, Robert Bruns, ended up doing 20 laps. So he ended up with 83 miles and change. But his last lap, he had to maintain, I think it's like a sub 950 pace after having already ran like 79 miles.
Yeah, that's rough. So the 4.167 or whatever it was, is that from Laz, or is that something that you kind of picked as the number?
No, so that's all like backyard ultras or those like last man standing events like that. Well, not all last man standings, because they do have some 1 mile loop courses that just have some crazy gain as well. But the 4.167, the reason they did that was over 24 laps or 24 hours, that equates to 100 miles.
Oh,
interesting. So that equates to 100 miles in 24 hours.
I've always wondered where the number came from. You learn something every day.
So that equates out to a 14-minute and 24-second average pace, which gives you a sub 24 or a 24-hour 100.
Gotcha. And I believe Jenny Overstreet from Mudgear Battle of the Lions won for the females. Is that correct?
Yes. She was the last female out there, actually finished 5th overall with 37.5 miles.
Nice.
I think she's I don't think she's running this year, but I do think she's going to be coming back out to volunteer, unless I can con her into running it again.
So tell us a little bit about the finisher prizes for this year, and also when the event is, obviously.
So the event is August 27th because I love hot weather. I'm just, I'm going to complain about the weather either way, but I'd way rather complain about it being too hot. So I'm going to have my race the last weekend of August. And so the course itself is, like I said, it's like 2.08 miles out and then 2.08 back on a rural chip and seal highway. It's literally like, instead of calling it a backyard ultra, I like to call it a front yard ultra. It is literally at my house.
That's amazing.
I have camping the night before the race and the night of the race is included with registration. But so prizes last year, they're going to be similar. Like they'll always be kind of similar, but they'll always be like the same concept, but I'll change them up every year. The prizes that I've done have been for the survivor. Last year we did a custom-made hourglass with a plaque. on it. And then we actually did.
And when you say survivor, you mean the winner? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the last person standing, last man standing, survivor, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the winner got a custom hourglass as well as $5 a lap and free entry to this year's race. So I've always been a firm believer that the winner of a race should get invited back to defend their title. So any winner of any race that I'll hold will always get free entry to come back and either keep or lose their crown. So, and then second place, I did something that I thought was kind of fun with that. We did because close only cuts and horseshoes and hand grenades, I actually built a custom horseshoe and hand grenade plaque for second place. And gave him half price off this year's race. Unsure if he's going to be able to make it, but I know Robert, like I said, the winner, he's back, and we've got a good-looking field so far.
And what's the
doing finisher flasks or DNS flasks instead of medals because in keeping with the theme of me. Everything's got to have something to do with alcohol. So this year, actually, everybody that races will get it's a custom Leaky Hourglass Ultra finisher flask with 2 shot glasses. And we've also got some cool stuff for sale and some cool stuff in just the swag bags this year, kind of trying to change it up a little bit because I know as a racer, I have so many of the exact same thing from different races.
Yes.
That I try and change it up a little bit. And like with this year's, so I did hacky sacks. People I don't think hacky sacks are one of those things that just kind of disappeared. And I don't know why. It is such a great workout. It's great cardio. It's great for your eye, foot and eye coordination and stuff. It's a wonderful thing. So, and I'm just retro like that. Everything was better in the 90s. So indeed. I brought back hacky sacks.
I love it. Yeah, we'll try to post a picture with this podcast of the Leaky Hourglass flasks. They're super nice. Where can people find find information about your race and register for it?
So we're on Ultra Sign Up. Just look up. You can Google Leaky Hourglass Ultra or go to Ultra Sign Up and put it in the little query box up there and just search for it. But it'll pop up if you just Google it. Just sign up through Leaky Hourglass Ultra. We don't have an actual website. I haven't quite gotten that fancy, but we do have a Facebook that we post on occasionally. Actually, also here, the 23rd of this month will be the last preview run for anybody that's interested in just getting out there and seeing what the course is like. Getting a feel for the elevation and everything because it is an exposed course. It's not very well shaded at all.
No, that's what Jenny was saying.
And the gain really creeps up on you. It's 250 feet of gain per loop.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not too bad the first couple laps, but about 5 laps into it, you start to wish you'd make better life choices. I'm doing a horrible job of selling my race right now, but you know what? It's not for everybody. I know that.
That's the point of ultras.
Environment.
There's very few people who are I want a nice, easy ultra. If it's your first one, some people say that, but if it's not your first one, people are I want something that's going to give me a memorable experience. And memorable usually means awful.
Well, I guarantee that. I guarantee memorable and awful.
So let's jump back over to Will. I know because I think I connected you to the guy who does my medals. Tell me about some of your medals and prizes for Will from Mythic Race.
Well, we did typical finisher medals for the 5K. We did belt buckles this year for the 5-hour. We'll do the same thing next year.
Love it.
The winners got this custom champion flag, kind of like a medieval banner for the winners of the 5K and the 5-hour.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's super cool. Just another, again, something unique to hang either on display on your trophy shelf for the belt buckles or the whatchamacallit, the banner, which I've got a spot reserved on my wall for that. Just
I wanted that banner so bad. I couldn't pull it off.
Always next year.
So Will, how did you come up with the one? Let's plug before I forget your website or your Facebook and how people can sign up and when the event is.
So we're on Run Sign Up. You just Google Mythic Race 2023. We'll get you there. Actually, right now we also have a virtual 5K and 5-hour on our 2022 page. It's benefiting Lionheart's Fitness out in, I think, Chattanooga area.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Yeah, so we're helping them out a little bit.
Mudgear Battle Lines Pro Rachel Waters does a lot of work with them, and I've written an article for Lionhearts. So great program to get the youth moving. How much is the virtual one? I should sign up for that.
I think it's 35.
And you get a belt buckle or with that, or what's the?
So you get the finisher medal for the 5K. If you do a 5-hour, you get the belt buckle.
Boom! Guess what I'm doing this weekend? So, you just submit a GPS track or a screenshot? What do I do?
Yeah, just a screenshot. It'll be fine.
Okay, good stuff. All right, I'm going to sign up as soon as this podcast ends. Good stuff. Okay, and then your Mythic. So how did you come up with the, a lot of people, they always look for like warrior-related, I feel like OCR has like a very warrior-related theme. I feel like Leaky Hourglass is pretty obvious how you came up with the name because the time is getting shorter per lap. How and why did you come up with the Mythic Race name and then go with like the dragon logo?
I really don't know. It kind of came to me.
Okay.
A couple of different names and then kind of stuck with something short, something different, and that's what I went with.
Right on. Well, it's a cool logo. Again, we'll try to post some pictures up on the when we post the podcast link for people to check out. Will, what else do you have coming up in 2022 for like you personally?
I got Savage Chicago next, and then 2 Tough Mudders, Infinite and Toughest in August, World in September, Highlander Assault in October, and then World's Toughest in November.
Yes, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be awful.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see you out there. You're gonna raise my spirits every time I see you.
I'll be laying on the ground, but I'll be out there.
Yeah. Will, you're fairly animated. You're a very stoic person normally. I'm getting a little more energy out of you than we normally do, but I'm excited to see you out at World's Toughest. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you gotta get that 50 miles.
Yeah, you'll get it. Just keep moving. That's what I tell everyone. As long as you keep moving, you should be fine. Gary, what do you got coming up?
Let's see, Yeti 100 next week. Then. So Rhode Island actually doesn't have a 100-mile race, but they have a 24-hour. So if I can do a sub 24 100 there, I can count it.
Yep.
In August, then September will be my Western States qualifier. They're in Michigan doing the Hallucination 100. I've also got Conquer the Gauntlet and the Conquer the Gauntlet team race in Tulsa, and finally pulled the trigger and doing the 3K and 15K. This will be my first OCRWC. I did the Enduro a few years ago in Australia, but this will be my first short course. I actually qualified at Will's race for the pro division, so I figured I'll go ahead and at least try it once. And then in November, I've got Cowboy 200.
Oof.
Hopefully my last 200 miler. I got tricked into doing that one.
Sounds like a good story. On top of that, you mentioned it offhand, but Mythic Race is an OCRWC qualifier. So for those of you who are looking to qualify for the World Championship, good event to go to. There's not as many in the Midwest, so good opportunity there for those who are looking to either qualify for pro. I'm not sure. Are they doing age group qualification this year? Anyone know?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay, good to know. But for next year, they basically, once the numbers get back up, the age group qualification standard will come back. I can essentially guarantee that. So we talked a little bit more about Gary's race and how it is hot and awful and in the sun. Will, how's the terrain / shade in your race? Is it similarly, or we got a little bit of shade and some mix-up of technical terrain there?
We probably got about 3/4 to a mile back on the ATV trails. It's shaded, but it's a little bit cooler also in April.
Gotcha. Good to know. All right, we're going to start wrapping things up. Since we got 2 people on the podcast, and I feel like I haven't done this in a while. Let's do, tell us something people would be surprised to know about you. So anyone want to go first? Gary, we'll go over to you first.
Something that people might not know about me. I have an associate's degree in fire science. My day job is that I'm a firefighter. A lot of people know that, but a lot of people don't.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you could have a associates in fire science. That's interesting. So what is it? It just talks about like essentially how fire spreads and.
Yeah, that's so investigation, inspection, and then yes, like fire spread, growth patterns, things like that. Suppression techniques, even extending into like juvenile fire setter intervention.
Gotcha. So give me your opinion on the movie Backdraft.
Yeah, man, you're gonna get me lynched. So great movie. A lot of inaccuracies and over dramatization of things, but overall, I mean, it's a good movie. It's a classic, and it was a different fire service back then as well.
Okay.
Everything's kind of changed over the years. Like a lot of that stuff that was even kind of realistic then is no longer realistic.
Oh, interesting. Same question, but for the movie On Deadly Ground, starring the one and only Steven Seagal, Master of Aikido.
I'm trying to remember which one that was.
That's the one where I think he's in Alaska and he puts out fires by essentially blowing things up. So he blows up and sucks the oxygen out of it and all the fires go out, oil fires.
I think I do remember that one. I'm going to go, it's a Steven Seagal movie, and I love Steven Seagal, probably second only to Van Damme to me.
Mm-hmm.
But love Steven Seagal, but all of his movies are complete over-exaggerations of anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair.
What
makes them so good, though.
That is. So, classic Steven Seagal there, On Deadly Ground. I think I saw it in theater. I want to say I saw it in theaters with my dad in Pennsylvania. For some reason, I have a very specific memory of that. And I can't tell you anything else besides that the first scene is like he blows up a oil refinery or something and the fire goes out. And I was very confused as a small child. I wasn't that small. It's probably, 13 or something. Who knows? Anyway, Will, over to you. Tell us something people would be surprised to know.
Okay, so I'll give you a 2-for-1. So me and my twin sister are both black belts in karate.
No, that is a 2-for-1. I had no idea you had a twin.
Yep.
Oh.
She hates running, though.
Say again?
She hates running.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Good stuff. Yeah, let's see. I've already talked about my martial arts a whole bunch. I have an older sister, and if you read my bio, you know that growing up, she was the athlete, not me. So that's kind of, she's still in pretty good shape, but that's definitely, when we were mapping out career and life progression as high schoolers, it would have been a bad bet to put money on me as the athlete and not her. I'll just say that. So, Cool. Well, we're going to start kind of closing things up. Let's see. You got a lot of information to put out. The OCR Everest documentary is up. It is on Strength and Speed YouTube page. So please go subscribe to Strength and Speed YouTube page. We're trying to make like a big push over that over the next 2 years. And I really need some subscribers to kind of get some momentum there. The documentary is 10 minutes long, shot by Bobby Ross, edited, produced all by him essentially in a couple days, while he was also pacing me. So it's pretty insane project that he pulled off. So please go check that out. Subscribe to Strength and Speed YouTube. We also started a Patreon page for Strength and Speed. So I think it's patreon.com/ultra-ocr. And the idea is we're going to use the Patreon funds to fund future video projects because me and Bobby have some pretty cool ideas we really want to put into effect. But again, all that stuff needs funding to kind of cover some of the costs there. So please head over, and if you want to throw a couple bucks our way, that would be great. And there's some perks, name shout out on podcasts. We'll get you some early access information. We'll do some kind of Patreon only Q&A sessions, live feed, stuff like that. And then also I'll actually physically send you some products. So, there's point breaks where you essentially you get some free blood mitts or some free books and stuff like that. My latest book on endurance is also available on teamstrengthspeed.com. You go check that out and use lessons learned from the Strength and Speed podcast to create that book. OCR Buddy has a whole bunch of articles. There's the OCR Everest gear choices, so it highlights what I use for OCR Everest. There's an OCR Everest lessons learned, so kind of some important things that you can take and use for your own training, specifically for like hill climbing, especially if you're going like Stratton for OCR World Championships. There's also an article on there about on endurance, the book. And then there's a race review for Bone Frog, New Jersey, which I wanted to talk about real quick. So Will or Gary, have you ever done a Bone Frog before?
I did on Talladega last year.
That was supposed to be one of their good venues. Gary, you ever do one?
Never done a Bone Frog.
Will, which distance did you end up doing?
Golden Trident. It's all 3 in 1.
Nice. Give me some of your thoughts on what Bone Frog was like.
It was good. There were too many stairs at the stadium, but their obstacles were nice. They had a lot of several challenging things. With the nature of the venue, though, they had to kind of put them in clusters, so I kind of like my races more spread out. That's the only downside, but they were good obstacles.
Yeah, so the New Jersey one. If you want to know a little more about it, you can head over and listen to Obstacle Running Adventures with Mike Stefano. He did a on-site interview with essentially the Bone Frog owner and the staff and stuff like that, and then also Amin Dib from Hannibal Race was there, which was pretty cool. So he's on the podcast also. But from what I'm tracking, they shut down for 2022, and they're looking at 2023. So it might come back as a normal OCR. It might come back, but in like a trail race format, or they might just kind of close up shop. So they're just kind of seeing how the economy does and how business plays out over the next couple months, and then they'll make a reassessment. So I went to the final, which was supposed to be the final one, ? In New Jersey. And I was a little bit worried they were just going to phone it in, right? They were just going to be like, here's a sandbag carry, here's a couple walls and like whatever. And I was like, the big obstacles will probably be missing. And honestly, they did a great job. There was all the normal obstacles there, the chopper, get to the chopper one, the one with the spinning kind of X bars. They had a giant A-frame cargo net. They had a caving ladder climb. They had their famous monkey bars in front of the American flag. Drags. The one I thought I was not going to like was Red Wings, which is you do dips, pull-ups, and burpees. What was your opinion on that one, Will?
I don't think exercises are obstacles, so it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So, that was my opinion going into. I was like, this is going to be stupid. I will say they did it pretty good, though, because they have you say the name of the actual fallen soldiers that are related. So like each one you say the name of a fallen soldier instead of just counting reps. So I actually forgot that I think burpees are the dumbest exercise in the world. And it took my mind off it while I was doing them. So yeah, normal races, I don't like that. I think I agree with Will. For Bone Frog, I think it fits in well with their brand there. They also had us go through this field, and we keep coming back to the hoist, right? We're like zigzagging and coming back to the hoist. And I was like, what are we doing? And then someone posted a picture of the course map, and we were making a giant trident on the field. So I thought that was kind of a clever thing to do as far as that goes. And but overall, yeah, I thought they did a great job. They definitely did not phone it in. I hope they come back. I think they're a good brand. And honestly, I feel like they're undervalued. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily think them as one of the harder obstacles, but doing the Trident and having to do all those obstacles 3 times was, I mean, it was tiring. I was definitely sore through my whole upper body by the end of it. So what were your thoughts, Will, on doing the triple lap there?
It was definitely a lot. Well, they last year was kind of different. So we did
you did a 6 mile and a 3 mile, right?
Yeah, so we did 6 and 3 together. That was one course, 9 miles. Then we did a 6 and we did a 3. So it's kind of like 2 courses. You did each one twice.
Ah, okay.
I think just the 3 mile course, it was kind of the obstacles were more backloaded on the 6 mile course. So if you just did the sprint, you probably didn't quite get as much out of it the way they had set up in Talladega. But overall, like the full 6 mile, definitely the full 18 miles was a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, all right, yeah, it was, anyway, if you want the longer version, either listen to Obstacle Running Adventures with Mike Stefano, or you can go and read the review that's up on OCR Buddy. I've also got a bunch of articles coming out in the OCR report. They should be publishing, I don't know, some point soon. One, we've got a virtual version of OCR Everest up on the, if you head over to teamstrengthspeed.com and go to the OCR Everest portion of the website, I'll drop the link down below in the show notes. And we've got some prizes that I have to give away. So I have $100 Aurora gift cards. I have a free set of UFO shoes. So I have $400 Aurora gift cards. So if anyone wants to throw their name in the hat for the virtual event, right now, I don't think I've been, and no one has sent me in results since I announced the virtual version. So if you want to get $100 off Aurora heated apparel, that's a pretty good way to do it. And then on top of that, we'll have some Squirrel's nut butter and mud gear for everyone who kind of participates. And we've got a bunch of extra belt buckles that we'll be sending out. So price for that is $50 donation. That all goes to Infinite Hero. And then if you already donated $50, you don't need to donate again. You can just do the event, the virtual event. And then if you have not donated, you donate $50 on any one of the fundraising sites. So either GoFundMe, which is, again, is a GoFundMe charity, or through the Facebook fundraiser, and then you just send me your results by the 22nd of July, which by the time this publishes, you'll only have a couple days left. So make sure you head over and do that if you want to win some prizes. Oh, and then we'll also do a kind of gold and silver belt buckles, so kind of like the same things we did for OCR Mill, so a nice, trophy belt buckle in addition to the participant belt buckle. Ugh. Gary, what else you got before we let you go? Sponsors of Leaky Hourglass. I know you had a sponsor that we have in common that we both love.
Oh yeah, Squirrel's Nut Butter. So yeah, Squirrel's Nut Butter is they've been on. This is their second year on, so they've been with us both years. Can't sing their praises enough. Like just finished up a 100 over in Scotland a couple weekends ago. Shave free. That was something I wanted to make sure and get through customs. So Squirrel's Nut Butter, and then also Springfield Brewing Company. They've been on with us both years now because I've got to have a beer sponsor. Fleet Feet here in Springfield, Missouri, and Orange Mud. They make hydration packs, and they're really widely known for their transition towels, which are great for OCR because you can throw those around you kind of like a kilt and, drop trowel and change clothes. And it also doubles, the towel itself has a little zipper on it. You can throw it over top of your seat in your car post-race and not get mud all over your interior. And then a couple of new sponsors. Tailwind Nutrition. I think everybody knows Tailwind, just kind of a nutritional supplement to liquid calories, really easy to digest. But new sponsors we've got this year are Pizza House, local pizzeria here right by my house, and also Koros. If you're looking for a good watch that, definitely the high selling point on it's tracks a lot of different metrics, and the battery life is just amazing. Like that 100 I just did in Scotland, Not my fastest 100, kind of slower. I'd like to blame the fact that I was just taking in all that Scottish countryside and enjoying the view. But finished the race, and I think I had 43% of my battery life left after 103.49 miles. So
wild. Will, any brands you want to give a shout out to, or people, etc.?
A lot of the other local OCR brands kind of helped me get started answering my questions. So Julie over at Phoenix Race OCR, she has a lot of races out in kind of the south. I went to her to race in Mississippi. I think she got one in Georgia and Tennessee. So go support them. And then Ed over at Frontline did a lot for me. He has races up in northern Illinois. Pretty fantastic course up there. And then Aaron over at Race Ready Obstacles. He actually built my course and kind of helped keep my obstacles together.
Nice. Yeah, we love Aaron, and I don't know Julie, but I heard good things. And then Ed from Frontline is also great. I got to experience Frontline last year for the first time and wanted to come back this year, but again, it was like the week before OCR Everest, and my mind was like, maybe running for 5 hours the week before I'm going to run 24 is not the best idea. So
this year was the best year ever. You should definitely need to go back.
Yeah, for once, common sense took a hold, and I made the smart decision. I ended up doing a local. Essentially a 1 mile race, Filthy Monkey. So I think we talked about that on 2 podcasts ago. So, all right. Since I got both of you on, I was considering adjusting some of the formatting for some of the Strength and Speed podcasts, just because I feel like I'm running. I'm thinking about switching to like more of a deep dive. Just kind of, again, I didn't give you guys preface of this ahead of time, but more of like taking a topic like recovery or fueling or periodization or something like, and doing like a deep dive into an episode, and maybe having either the same co-host or maybe rotating co-host where we focus on one topic instead of right now we guys kind of jump around and obviously cover a lot of race brands and do whatever, but think more of like a deep dive. What is either of you have an opinion on that? Do you kind of like the format we have going now? I know you guys listen to fairly regularly, so just open it up there.
I think a little bit of both would be good. The deep dives would kind of be a little more information most people get from other podcasts, something different.
Yeah. Gary,
I'm kind of the same way. Like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like, I think certain subjects and stuff would be good. Like you do get a lot of the deep dive stuff on some of the other podcasts, but, those are mainly focused on, those are like deep dive subjects for ultra running and not necessarily obstacle course racing or some of the other stuff that like we have in common.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be cool to switch up the format occasionally, but I mean, I really like what you have, like how you've been doing it as well, but there are definitely subjects that I think would be interesting to, really go down a rabbit hole on.
Okay. Good advice. If anyone has any other thoughts, feel free to shoot me a message or post on our Facebook or Instagram page, kind of some of your thoughts on that. I'm just kind of, the whole, one of the main reasons behind starting the podcast is, one, to kind of share some of the information that I've accumulated from a lifetime of poor decisions. But 2, it was also like largely linked to my fundraising efforts. And I did my final Ultra OCR fundraiser this year. I did not plan on doing another one. So I'm just kind of contemplating where I go with the podcast at this point. So, there'll still be more episodes coming from me, but just trying to chart a new way forward, and I think a way that is most valuable to the listeners. So, feel free to comment or shoot me a private message. I read them, the ones that come in on Strength and Speed, Instagram or Facebook, or directly through the website. I'll definitely check those out. So, all right. Any final shout outs, Gary?
I just recently got engaged.
Boom.
So, shout out to my amazing fiance, Nicole,
who was on a previous episode. You can go back and listen. Is the wedding going to be ultra themed?
We just decided that we'd get married. We haven't really looked too much further than that.
Fair enough. Well, either way, I'm sure it'll be great. Congratulations. Will, anything else?
Just support your local obstacle course races. We'll probably always be here because we're typically kind of a side job. So when all the big companies make mistakes and close down, we'll still be here. So come support us.
Yeah, I second that. And anyone who listens to this podcast know I'm a fan of local brands just because it's, there's no bureaucracy and there's no rules. They can do whatever they want as far as redesigning obstacles and coming up with crazy challenges. Like, I know obviously not OCR, but Gary's Leaky Hourglass 100 or Leaky Hourglass Leaky Hourglass Ultra. I don't know why I keep messing that up. All right, we're gonna get going. Thanks you guys for coming on, and we'll catch you later this year.
Yep, absolutely.
Last little bit before I let you guys go, wanted to tell you to head over and listen to Optimize Yourself podcast with Zach Arnold. It was one of the recent podcast interviews I did. Zach does an amazing job, and I think he might be the best interviewer I've ever been interviewed by. So please head over and listen to Optimize Yourself podcast. I've been putting out podcasts a little slower than normal, so I wanted to make sure I gave his podcast a plug. And the episode before me is Sean Corvell. So another great resource and motivational person there, the Mirrorman MC of Tough Mudder. Optimize Yourself podcast, we ended up diving a lot deeper than I was kind of expecting. So I was expecting, the general questions about, endurance racing and, how I eat and how I fuel and how I train and stuff like that. And he's really kind of dove into like the why and, what am I running from or what am I running to? And it had some really good questions. So please head over. Zach Arnold is a 2-time American Ninja Warrior competitor. Works on the TV show Cobra Kai, which is one of my favorites. One of the only TV shows I actually watch. And then we actually ran on the same day for Ninja Warrior both days, and our stories are surprisingly similar. But you'll have to listen to the podcast to get the full rundown of how that went. So Optimize Yourself podcast, I'll drop the link down below, and also double hit the Sean Corvell episode. We'll catch all you later.